every 2 weeks or so specifically about caption telephone and on some of the other resources that Maryland Relay has. For those of you that are not familiar with Maryland Relay, we also have an equipment program called Maryland Accessible Telecommunications. So if somebody is struggling to use a telephone and they need specialized equipment, for example, like a large button telephone or an amplified phone, we can provide that at no cost to them if they qualify for the program. And so I will be having a webinar next Wednesday, the 17th at 1 p.m. So if you want to learn more about Maryland Relay and some of the resources that we have, I would love for you to join me. It's free, it's informative, and it's interactive. So you'll have a chance to interact with me during my webinar.
That's great. And I'm putting a link again, where you can link directly to that March 17th webinar. You can see the cover story that we've got on Maryland Relay in the Maryland issue of Sourcebook. And also we're excited because one of our pro-aging discussions this month is going to be on the Maryland Relay Partner Program. And that's a way that you can tap into Maryland Relay to help grow your business and reach a whole new audience of customers. Correct, Jenny?
Yes, that's correct. So you don't need to have special equipment to reach out to individuals who do use special equipment. And the Relay Partner Program will work with local businesses, service providers, and things like that to learn how Maryland Relay can be used to reach out to populations you may not be considering as customers or patients or things like that. So with Maryland having one of the highest populations of deaf individuals in America, it's really important for people to realize that they're using systems like Maryland Relay or video relay services to reach out to you to have access to your products and your services. So if you're interested in learning more about how your business could be a part of the Maryland Relay Partner Program, please join us on the 25th.
Awesome. And I hope I'm not putting you on the spot, but I know it's Deaf History Month. Do you have another deaf history tidbit for us?
Absolutely. It's not necessarily deaf history, but it's a little bit of the American Sign Language knowledge. Many people think that American Sign Language is English, but with your hands, and it's not. It's actually derived from French Sign Language. Many people also don't know that sign language is not international, that there are countries like England, France, Spain, they all have different sign languages, just like we all speak different languages. Yeah.
Oh.
And so one of the reasons why Maryland Relay can be so effective is that individuals who are using American Sign Language, it's not English. And so when you're speaking English to them, they may not understand exactly what you're saying because it may be grammatically different, and they'll get something different from that. So we can assist with that and to make sure that communication is completely open to everybody. But yeah, so I'm conversational in American Sign Language, and sometimes I've gotten to the point where I'm actually thinking in American Sign Language.
Wow. Well, and actually, Austin Caton is on in chat, and he's a certified ASL interpreter. Oh, Cheryl Walsh, boy, we know we got a good sponsor when we get questions to the sponsor. So Cheryl Walsh says, is Maryland Relay available to people outside of Maryland?
It is not. However, every state has a relay service. So I would Google your state name and their service. So it would be like Virginia Relay. And then you can reach out to them and find out specifically what programs they provide. They all provide telecommunications access to individuals who have difficulty using a phone, but some states may not have an equipment program like we do. They may offer other services that we don't.
Great. All right. Well, Jenny, we will be seeing you next week, definitely. And let's see. Why does Maryland have so many deaf individuals? I did not know Maryland had the highest population in America. Thank you for your work.
Well, I appreciate that. We are one of the states that have some of the highest concentration of deaf individuals. I know California has a very high population as well. But in Maryland, we have two exceptional deaf schools for children in Frederick and in Columbia. Also, our close proximity to Gallaudet University, which is it's a our national school or college for individuals who are deaf. So that and the close proximity to the government, who has a great tendency to hire people with disabilities, particularly folks who are deaf.
Great. And let's see, David is from Florida. I've seen that we've got people from Florida and Massachusetts here today. In Florida, we have private companies who provide the same product and are reimbursed through the same government tax. So yeah, make sure, folks, if you're not in Maryland, check out the other states, but you can always reach out to Jenny, because Jenny is connected with this world, and they can, she can help out as well.
Absolutely.
And here, wow, Miriam Zucker, I'm posting your comment in chat there. Holy cow. Well, I'm so psyched that we've had such interaction with our sponsor. This just reiterates why this was such a good thing for you guys to do this, Jenny.
Yeah, this is so fun.
Yeah. So with that, let's get on to the program. And if we're interacting with you this much, I can't wait to see how much we're going to interact with Dr. Galina. So Galina, if you want to turn on your mic and camera, we can get to know you. So welcome, and sorry about the delay there, but like I said, the audience is really interactive today. So we're going to dive into Amazon CareHub and voice technology in general today. But before we do, let's get to know you a little bit better. I've known you really well because I was involved in teaching at UMBC, and I think at one point in time, you were my supervisor. But tell us a little bit about your background and your specialty and what you're doing now.
Sure. And you were an excellent employee. Just wanted to let you know. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed Jenny's presentation, and I learned so much. It was wonderful. So thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here. As Steve mentioned, we've known each other for a while. I taught for many years at UMBC and now have transitioned to University of Maryland College Park. So really the flagship institution in Maryland. Go Terps, if some of you have attended or there or have been there. It's been an amazing experience. I'm at the College of Information Studies. So once again, I moved from a very interdisciplinary program to another very interdisciplinary program. And we focus on essentially technology innovation, but also leadership and information management. So we're creating the leaders of the future. It's some amazing work that's being done. And I'm also affiliate faculty at the Trey Center, which specifically focuses on accessibility. There's lots of resources at the University of Maryland. Google and Amazon have given lots of sponsorships. So there's some amazing, innovative work that's being done, and I'm having a great time. And I was scoping the attendees, and some of my students are here from College Park. So I'll try not to make it as a lecture. It'll be more fun time than they're usually used to.
Well, that's really good. I'm glad you brought that up, because again, we want to make this as interactive as possible. And so those of you who have been on these programs, if you might have a question about CareHub or voice technology right now, go ahead and type it into Q&A, and I'll make sure to politely interrupt Dr. Galina, and we will, and if you noticed, I'm intentionally not saying say your last name for me.
Reitz.
Reitz. Okay, Dr. Galina Reitz. Okay, good. I didn't want to botch your last name and mispronounce it. So, okay. So now when you were at UMBC, this is where you really started diving into voice technology and how it can help older adults, correct?
Yes, actually, I pride myself on being one of the first researchers to really focus on voice tech and how it can impact older adults' life and in the home. And my focus was with dementia and Alzheimer's and cognitive decline, and how Alexa and just voice technology in general can be really powerful in supporting somebody at that stage of their life. So I remember, back in the day when I started research with Alexa, the smart speakers were quite expensive. They weren't as affordable as they are. And there wasn't that much choice on the market. So things have really changed. And I've still been very much immersed in voice tech and doing research. And I'm really excited to talk today about really from the perspective of an outsider. So I am not an Amazon representative. I'm not trying to sell you Alexa. I just want to give you a realistic idea of what is CareHub, what are some cool ways to add peripherals to Alexa, and some product recommendations to take away.
Yeah, and like the thing is, Amazon is so innovative and so large. They launched CareHub back, I think, in November of 2020, or maybe even earlier than that. I didn't even know about it. It was like just maybe a month or so ago, I was reading an article and it was referencing Amazon CareHub. I went and searched it up and I was like, whoa, they've actually invested in a proprietary free, platform for older adults. And it's a native Amazon product, not an outside skill like which has been out there. And of course, I was sort of like, there's no way I'm ever going to get to talk to somebody at Amazon about CareHub. I did try. And then it dawned on me, it's like, I know Galina's got to know about this. So I'm really psyched because, as Galina said, we're not going to get the Amazon sales pitch. This is an objective expert sort of reviewing the product. And then we can dive into this and then we can talk about other voice technology. So I think the best thing for me to do is jump off the screen here. And if you've got a PowerPoint or anything like that you'd like to share, go ahead and share it. And let's jump into learning about this. Oh, and of course, we did test your slides before the program, but now we're getting that split screen there, Galina.
Oh, are you? Of course. Why would technology not fail?
It worked perfectly okay, let's see. Okay, yeah, I'm getting, do you want to try stop sharing and then share again, because it did work the last time. And worst case scenario, if you just share it the way that you did before, I think it won't be too bad.
Let's try again without my second screen. I think that would help. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Voice tech.
Okay, and now share that. Boom, we are there.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay. Good. Excellent. Yes, this always happens. Technology always fails the technology person. All right, I'll get started because there's quite a few things that I want to cover, and I'm really excited to get your questions and have a great conversation about this. As Steve mentioned, CareHub sort of came out. We have, those of us in the accessibility community have been very excited to hear about it, and I'll share with you some of the great things and then some of the disappointments that I've noticed as I've been playing with CareHub, and sort of the expectation of what we thought it would be and kind of the reality. And yes, absolutely, it was a very exciting thing to hear that Amazon was getting in the healthcare game. And this is something that we haven't seen from a smart speaker other than an outside skill or an app. So, you won't find this type of service on Google Home. So it was a very exciting thing to see and to test out and sort of get a sense of what they were thinking with CareHub. So outside of CareHub, there's also a couple of other peripherals that Amazon has been slowly putting out on the market. And I just wanted to bring those to your attention later in my presentation, kind of get the conversation going of where do we think, what are they thinking about healthcare, and sort of how much are they building this platform and this ecosystem of technology? So just to give you an idea of what CareHub is. So when I initially heard about it, to me, a hub sounded like the central place where lots of information could be stored. Communication can go both ways between caregiver and care recipient. To me, a hub honestly sounded something a little bit larger than it actually is. So I think my personal sense was I was a little bit disappointed about what this looks like, but at the same time hopeful that they really are thinking about the population that we work with. They're really thinking about the needs, obviously, of caregiver and care recipient. So I thought it was a great, I think, first step, first initiative. And of course, like many other technology companies, the idea is to launch it and kind of see how well it's received, iron out any bugs, and figure out what are some additional, obviously, additional things that they could add to the actual CareHub platform. So the simplest explanation is essentially it's a two-way communication between yourself, let's say as a caregiver, and your loved one who is receiving care. So there's a couple of different options. As I mentioned, I'll talk about the good and then some of the concerns that I'm seeing with CareHub. But, one of the caveats is that your loved one, the person that you're caring for, that you want to kind of share this CareHub relationship with, has to have an Amazon Alexa device, and has to be using it, which, if you've heard any of my previous talks, I've always mentioned adoption of new tech. So this is something that we have to consider. I think for an existing Amazon Alexa user, this is wonderful. It really opens up the interaction between, like I said, family members. And it's a great way to receive alerts, to have an emergency contact, and really feel safe and secure that if you contact somebody, that message will be received on the other side. However, it's something that if you don't have in your home, if your loved one is not used to using, and this is just a brand new technology, there will be a learning curve. And I think those are some of my concerns that I'm seeing. So it's a two-way communication. And in its simplest form, it really is, it allows the caregiver to receive notifications whenever their loved one is utilizing the Alexa device. Okay, so it's unfortunately, it's not much more complicated than this. It is about specific alerts. It's about kind of getting the sense that your loved one is interacting with the device, and they are up, let's say, in the morning, and they've asked about the weather, and you, as the care recipient or the family member, are at home on your phone, and you're getting an alert that this is going on with your loved one's Alexa. So I wanted to show you this quick snippet of a video to just kind of, rather than me talking about it, give you a quick kind of live action of what this looks like.
Alexa, start my day.
Good morning. Today in Santa Monica, look for a high of 72 degrees. This is a reminder. Take your pills.
Alexa, thank you.
Alexa, drop in on Mom.
Hey, baby.
Are those reminders working out for you?
That's between me and Alexa.
I see how it is. Talk to you later, Mom.
Bye, baby. Love you.
Hey.
Hey, what are you up to tonight, Mom?
I decided to stay home and finish my painting.
Well, just calling to check on you, Mom. Love you.
Good night, son.
So So as you can see, it's a recipient of these alerts and somebody who is having some interactions with the Amazon Alexa. And some of the things that you may have noticed as well is it's obviously this is kind of overblown example of what these interactions may look like. And some of the concerns that I'm having is about the drop-in feature, for example, and the idea that you have to manually take away that ability. So potentially the son could really drop in on his mother at any time. And if you have an Amazon Alexa with a screen and a camera, you will be able to see the person's surroundings or their home or wherever this device is set up at. So there's a couple of concerns on that side. Also, as you may have noticed in the video, the son is receiving alerts, let's say if mom hasn't had any interaction with the device for a couple of hours. And those are alerts that you can set up manually. So if your loved one, if you have a concern that they're not interacting with Alexa within a half an hour, you will get a notification that there has been no activity within that particular time frame. So as someone who is, let's say, on their mobile phone, you may be receiving a lot of alerts. It really kind of depends on how you customize them. So that's another thing in terms of the setup, which after I share my slides, I wanted you to have this just so it's a quick overview of how you can set this up if you do have Alexa at home, and just maybe play around with CareHub and invite your loved one and see whether it's something that may work for you. But it is a little bit of a process. So if you are the person initiating this two-way relationship, there is some setup that you kind of have to go through and figure out, obviously, with the person on the other side, what are they comfortable with in terms of alerts. I will kind of walk you through some of the options in terms of what are the expectations, what is really being viewed on each individual side. So Amazon has been pretty good about keeping some of that information private. So if, let's say, mom is asking Alexa something private or something that she doesn't want her son to see, that will not be shared. It's really kind of a bird's eye view of the interactions. So if you're asking Alexa to play a particular song, the loved one, the family member who's overseeing this will not be able to look at the particular song, but they'll be able to see that you are, let's say, listening to music. So the way that this works is it can only be a two-way street. So if you want, let's say, me and my husband to have that interaction with my mom, that's not going to happen. Only one person can have an Alexa CareHub with interaction with another person. So you can't have the whole family drop in on mom. It's really a one-to-one relationship. Maybe in the future, they will be working on separate accounts, being able to tie in and oversee mom's Alexa and interactions, but right now it's just one-on-one. And so for those of you who may have experience with the mobile app, I just wanted to kind of show you some examples of what this looks like, what the alerts will look like when they pop up on your screen, and what are some ways that you can interact with the other Echo device. And one important thing is that you don't have to have an Amazon Alexa if you are, let's say, providing the care. You don't have to have one in your home. So you could just download the Alexa mobile app and just control all of those interactions and alert settings from your phone. So it doesn't need to be two devices in each person's home. So if you, like I said, if this is something new that you are introducing to another person, you don't have to purchase two devices, which is a nice thing. And you can kind of control those interactions just from your phone. I have a lot of grips with Amazon Alexa's app. It's not one of my favorites in terms of usability, but Google Home is not user-friendly either. So in general, I think there's some concerns in sort of how they've laid this out. Honestly, it's kind of sometimes hard to find the options and the skills So I did do, add a couple of screenshots to help you sort of navigate the app and get to the CareHub if you are interested in trying it out. So I actually went through the process. You can choose whether you're providing support or you're receiving support. So this relationship can be initiated by either party, by myself, or let's say it can be initiated from my mom. I tried to send my mom a link and she denied it. So I wanted to test this out in the real world, but I was promptly denied access to my mom's interactions with Alexa. So I have been doing it obviously with my own personal devices, which is not the same, but it's I think it can very much be helpful if you're looking for, like I said, a bird's eye view of some of the interactions. But once again, if your loved one wakes up in the morning and the first thing that they do is not ask for the weather or the time with Alexa, you will have that big gap of no interactions. And that's just something to consider when you're adding those alerts. So the setup is relatively simple. However, the person on the other side who is receiving support, as they call it, needs to have an Amazon account and an email address in order for them to receive your link, or you could always share it with them on their mobile device. So the actual setup, it's relatively easy. And I didn't want to bore you with other kind of Amazon videos, but if you just Google CareHub setup, there's a very nice, well-produced Amazon video that kind of walks you through the process. So I wanted to cover a couple of quick facts. I mentioned this one-to-one relationship. So it can be a whole family of a bunch of individuals looking after mom's Alexa interactions. It really is just one-on-one. And, the whoever wants to initiate that relationship, you can do this kind of on both sides, which is nice that that option is available to both parties. Everybody needs their own Amazon account, as I mentioned, and it's a high-level summary of interactions. So no specifics. This is something that may be shared if somebody has privacy concerns in terms of, well, what if I ask something that's private, or if I set an alarm that I don't want my son to know what that alarm is for, that's okay. It's just high-level interactions. And some of the cool features that I really like, and of course, I'll talk to you more about some of those, is you can set up, for example, sensors. And later, not much later, and apologies for moving quickly, but I have a lot to say about this. I'll give you an idea of what are some of the peripherals that you can add to this CareHub and to your Amazon Alexa device in order to really get some good sort of information about the individual who's living by themselves. Because just as I said, just the interactions with Alexa are helpful, but I think much more helpful, it's, let's say, if you set up a sensor on somebody's drawer or on the fridge, and let's say if the first thing that they do is open up the fridge in the morning, you will get that alert that interaction has happened. So to me, that's much more useful than waiting for that first Alexa interaction. But which is a great option. It makes it personalizable, it's customizable, and it really, different families have different needs. So lots of cool features. And the other great thing, as I mentioned, in terms of safety and security, is still Alexa cannot call 911. However, now if you set up CareHub, you can identify the person to call if there is an emergency. So the individual that's being cared for could say, please call Galina, or please call, I need help, Alexa, I need help. And it will automatically contact, it will message the individual on the other side of the CareHub relationship. It will call them. So I think up until now, that sort of access to an emergency contact had to be done outside with some other skills. So it's a really nice way that they have packaged it into this CareHub, but still no 911 calls through the Alexa. And of course, if the individual wants to call their emergency contact by name, they can. Alexa, call Galina, or Alexa, drop in on Galina, if that option is open. So it's those are some nice features that are already built into CareHub that could be used by both parties. Some of my sort of good things and bad things, so concerns, The good thing is, like I said, you don't need two devices to use this. However, of course, it is a much more rich relationship if, let's say, both individuals have the Echo Show. So you both have screens and cameras, and you could really see each other, like in the video. That's a great example of how the device can be used to its full potential. Of course, if you have a little Echo Dot, it's just a voice relationship and voice interaction. So, there's a couple of options. The other concern is, let's say, if you have to set this up for somebody who's across the country, what Amazon recommends is that you actually, if you have concerns about the other person, setting Alexa up, the device, hooking it up to Wi-Fi, going through the mobile app install, you can actually send the Alexa, the Echo to yourself as a gift. Choose gift option is what they recommend. So that way it's not automatically synced to your Amazon account. So that just adds a little bit of a complication, but with any technology, we know that it fails and you have to try again. So just kind of some words of caution in terms of the ease of setting this up. Another concern, and obviously I think about this a lot in terms of privacy and security, is you have to actually go in and manually shut off the drop-in option. So probably why my mom didn't want me to connect to her Echo, because I could just say, Alexa, drop in on mom, and I could see what's happening in her kitchen, right? So that has to be an option that's agreed upon between both individuals. And of course, if the other person is comfortable with that, then it's a great option that you can sort of drop in and check out what's going on, and kind of look for the person in the room where Alexa is. So, Amazon has focused on the idea this is private, so you're only seeing what kind of like I said, a bird's eye view of what they're doing. So how are they doing, not what are they doing? And another concern is if the person who's receiving the care is not really open to this, and they are relatively tech savvy and they want to go into their mobile app, they can actually delete all of their history. So obviously that's their choice. And it's just kind of one of those things that you don't know until it happens. And, you're trusting that mom is interacting or dad is interacting with Alexa, but maybe they have or they have not, but they have deleted all of their history and there's absolutely no interactions and no alerts coming to you. So some of the things that we just kind of have to consider. And the other thing is, which has been my experience with Alexa for the many years that I have worked with smart speakers, is that you can't distinguish who is interacting with Alexa. So if there is, let's say in the morning, I don't know, maybe the TV is on and there's a commercial or somebody says Alexa, she will be engaged, but this person may have walked out the door and not be in their home. So you're still receiving an alert that they are interacting with the device, but they're not actually in their home. So obviously this is probably for paranoid individuals like myself who think about all of the downfalls of technology. And, it's just like with anything else, we kind of have to be aware of these issues. And as I mentioned, sometimes it's too many alerts. You have to set those up individually, and they have to work with the time frame of the person that obviously you're caring for.
Hey,
So,
Galina?
Yep.
Yeah, I just wanted to read a few comments and questions on the privacy aspect of this. First off, a bunch of comments. Seems intrusive. Excellent job by your mom for declining. Pam Lusby wanted to share that when you drop in, the screen will blur for 10 seconds to give the recipient the ability to decline, and then you can make a verbal announcement that you will be dropping in. I've seen that in action. It's it's a nice little privacy thing, but would 10 seconds be enough for some people?
Exactly. Yep. Those are really great points. Of course, there's always that concern, and, is Alexa listening? Of course, all the time. Everything is listening. All of our data is being collected. So it's just that trade-off, what you feel comfortable with. And absolutely explaining those options to the person that you're caring for is really important.
And this isn't exactly on the privacy thing, but I think it somewhat relates to it. And it's something that you brought up about calling 911. There was a question is, can Alexa not call 911 because Amazon is skirting some kind of FDA or other enforcement bodies?
That's a good question. If so, I don't know, but if I were Amazon, I wouldn't touch that because of, yes, all of the potential issues that could arise with Alexa failing to call 911 with yeah, so I can understand why they haven't gone that route. And unreliable internet connection, calls dropping. I mean, there's so many issues. So I can understand why that they haven't added that feature.
Great. Well, you've got more questions, but if you want to get through some of your talking points here, we'll definitely get back to them and we'll answer as many as we can.
Sounds great. And honestly, this is what CareHub is. Like I said, I think some of us in the space were thought there would be a little bit more options, but like I said, it's a good first step. I think it's interesting to see how people are using it, and of course, there will be lots of additions, I'm hoping and expecting in the future. So if it may be something that you want to test out and try out and see if it works for your family. I wanted to also kind of give you an idea of what to expect from Amazon, what's coming up in terms of their new launches. There's a couple of interesting things that are coming up in terms of peripherals, which is really kind of the meat and where I think we should focus. CareHub is a great way to kind of, for alerts and push-pull kind of interaction. But if you want somebody to have a good experience in their home and really utilize technology, the CareHub is a great tool to really control all of those additional devices that you can have around your home. So a couple of new launches from them, the Echo Buds, which if you love Alexa, if you like her voice, if she's your friend and you just want to have that interaction, it's a great way to have her in your ears and obviously utilize the mobile app and have all of those features. They have the Echo Loop, which is a ring wearable. I'm pretty sure it's still in its first stages of production. It's pretty interesting. You may have seen these rings for sleeping. So you're wearing the ring and it tells you sort of about your sleep patterns. The cool thing about the Loop is it has an actual little speaker in it. So you're in the grocery store, you say, Alexa, what's my grocery list? And you bring it up to your ear and it tells you. So it's kind of a nice way to have Alexa with you where it's not on a watch. You don't have to pull out your phone. You're actually just wearing this ring and it's kind of part of your daily life. So that's pretty neat. And the other one is Echo Frames. If you all remember many moons ago, I remember testing out the Google glasses and they were such a fail. So I can't say that I'm entirely optimistic about the Echo Frames, but it's interesting that they're coming back to kind of looking at eyeglasses and what could be done. So these are actual eyeglasses that you can have a prescription with them, and they have little speakers on the frames. So once again, you can have Alexa right there on your eyeglasses. So it's pretty cool. I can see that they're just trying to incorporate this smart speaker technology in sort of different peripherals. So we'll see what's actually useful and what's not. And honestly, probably the most useless peripheral is the smart sticky note printer. But truthfully, I think for certain households, that may be really useful. So I added it just to give you an idea of some things that they're doing that are more fun and engaging and not necessarily that life-changing. But if you want to tell Alexa to print your grocery list, that might be a kind of cool thing to have. And I think you can pre-order it. So I've talked about Alexa and Amazon, and as Steve and I discussed, I don't work for Amazon. I am not selling the product. So I wanted to give you a good idea that there's other smart speakers on the market. And honestly, for some of you, for someone you care for, Google Home may be a better option for various reasons. In general, they're relatively pretty similar. The price points are pretty similar. There's just different capabilities. So let's say on the Google Home, you can have YouTube. The interactions are a little bit easier. You can have Apple Music. So obviously I have both speakers all over my home and I'm testing them out, and I have for a while. And I have to say, I utilize Amazon and Alexa and Google Home and their smart speaker technology for different purposes. Now, when we talk about peripherals, and I'm sorry, I'll run through this quickly because I absolutely want to get to your questions, but when we talk about peripherals, you kind of have to marry into a system. So this is something I usually recommend is if you already have Amazon, stick with them and their, let's say, Ring doorbell or their indoor camera or their sensor on the door. So all of the products that work really well with their system. If you're a Google Home user and you really, let's say, love Nest, which I do, I use my Google Home with all of my Nest devices, then you want to marry into this system because they have completely separated. And now sometimes you can use peripherals with both, but they're just not a good match. So pick a system and stick with it is my recommendation. And I think now, because we're mostly at home, I have just been testing out different, like I said, peripheral tech in terms of smart lights and, putting cameras everywhere and seeing sort of how all of these devices interact with each other. And you can do it two ways. You can kind of get an integrated system like the Smart Things Hub from Samsung, which is very easy. You can get a bunch of different devices. They're controlled by their hub, and you get the lights, you get the sensors, you get the doorknob, you get the cameras, you get the smart garage door opener. So it makes it very easy to incorporate this into your home versus what I have been doing, which is DIY. I kind of will test out different things, see if I like it. I'll test, a smart bulb. If it works well and it connects to my Google Home and Alexa, I'll recommend it. But I've sort of been trying things out. And like I said, I'll share these slides. So please feel free to kind of Google some of these ideas and test them out. But lots of cool peripherals that all can be controlled by voice, which is really neat. So things are becoming more and more inexpensive, unlike maybe the Nest thermostat, but there are less expensive options. So you may think, putting a smart plug on my light will not change my life. I beg to differ. It will, because when you're laying in bed and you remember that you forgot to turn off that light in the most obscure place in your home, all you have to do is pull out your phone, which you're probably already on, and just click turn off and the light will come off. Or when you're on vacation and you can change the thermostat and make it nice and warm before you come home. So these little conveniences, I think, add up to making your home smart and really making your experience really fun and easy. Or let's say now there's really good companies that are very safe in terms of the locks on your doors, where you can unlock it remotely. So if you forgot your key, if you lost it, if somebody wants to get into your home that you trust, all you have to do is just push a button on your phone and the person can get in. Or if you're loud enough, you can just scream, Alexa, open the door, because she knows your voice and she'll open your front door. So lots of cool things that you can test out. Things that I've recommended: doorbells, smart locks. Obviously, Nest has a whole range of devices. I like them because I found that they are the most interactive and easy to use, but there's lots of other options on the market. So sensors, if you are traveling for an extended period of time, you can add a sensor, let's say under the refrigerator or outside in your water gauge, and you'll be able to track all of that information on your phone. So like I said, things that maybe you don't think are life-changing, but once you kind of add on to this ecosystem of devices controlled by voice, it can be really, really cool. And of course, things that are kind of fun. I've been trying out the smart home fragrance. So it's a home diffuser. You can change the, how strong the smell is in your home. Things that, like I said, may be kind of fun and engaging, not completely life-changing. So if you're not into voice, but you want to kind of equip your home with smart tech, there are other options. You can have a smart remote, which is all touch. So you don't actually necessarily need an Alexa or a Google Home. And lots of appliances now are coming already with smart tech in them. So you can pretty much tie in your TV to turn on when you ask Alexa. You can have your blinds set at a certain time. So lots of voice activated technologies are out there. And I think more and more we'll find that, yes, 100% it is a trade-off, but it does add convenience. And if you think about CareHub, and let's say if turning on the appliance or putting a sensor on the stove, or maybe the stove is already a smart stove, you can connect that to the CareHub and it will alert you when mom or dad is cooking and when they've turned on the stove or turned off the stove. So tying all of that together, I think, can be really, really helpful. And I just left a quick buying guide of some of my favorite devices that I've played with and used, and I think are really cool. And like I said, a smart plug may not be life-changing, but when you can turn on your coffee maker from your bed in the morning or turn on all the lights before you get home, it is useful. And also, as a caregiver, you could really kind of get alerted when somebody is turning off and on their lights or changing the thermostat and make certain decisions based on their interactions. So I've said a lot. I think I've given you a lot to think about. So I'd love to hear from you now before we wrap up.
Oh yeah, no, and we've got tons of questions. So I'm gonna jump on these here, and let's see. I'm pulling this one out of chat because I wanted to hear your comment on this. Is Catherine says, we've chosen to go in the direction of the AARP Foundation's Connect to Effect software system for Amazon Echo and designed to work with the service coordinators in the affordable independent living housing communities. You can go on the AARP Foundation site to learn more, but Dr. Galina, are you familiar with the AARP system?
So I'm familiar with their tablet and I'm familiar with the work that they were doing on the system, but I haven't obviously tested it out. So I can't really recommend it or not recommend it. But my personal opinion is that there really has to be some added value, which I haven't researched, so I'm not really sure what they're doing, but there's so much on the consumer market that unless it's something really kind of transformational, there's lots of things that you can do DIY, but it may be a really great service.
Yeah, and I know that AARP Foundation, they've been focusing on affordable senior living communities. And I went to a presentation a while back, and one of the interesting things was that when these systems are installed in a building, it simplifies residents calling down to the front desk. So for example, one of the things that the residents would always call down to find out what's on the menu and has the mail come yet. And now all of that's automated in the system, and the front desk people reported that this is great because now they can solve problems for the residents that are way more meaningful as opposed to constantly saying, no, the mail's not here yet.
Exactly. Yeah, that's huge. And I see that as in the future as well. FAQs and really automated. Yes, you'll probably be talking to a bot, but you may get the information that you need. Yeah.
Yep. Jean makes a comment that it's a good reason for not calling 911 with Amazon is because it's location specific, and you could see where that could be a challenge.
Exactly.
The glasses, somebody says the glasses would be great. Especially if there's an OCR reader on them. When you go to the grocery store, you could see how much things cost. Okay, most peripherals are not suitable for elders, which I think we'd all agree. Okay, so let's get to the questions here. How does CareHub differ from Echo Show? And I'll let you make that explanation there.
So how does CareHub differ from Echo Show? Echo Show is the physical hardware. CareHub is the software. So you need Echo Show or an Echo device in order to utilize CareHub if you are the recipient. So if you're the older adult, or if you're on the other end of the caring relationship, you need some sort of Amazon Echo device in order to kind of establish that CareHub relationship. And like I said, it's not really that revolutionary what they've done. It's just kind of simplified alerts between two people, and made it a little bit easier to sort of have that interaction and get some notifications about what is this person doing on their Alexa during the day. So an Echo Show is their version with the screen. So there's lots of different versions of Echo. That's just one type of hardware.
Great. And then what I'm going to do, I've got a few people with their hands raised. I don't know if this is by accident or not, but Stephanie Swerdlow is at the top of the list. I'm going to allow you to, she took her hand down, or did she? Okay, let's see. Ruth, your hand is raised. I'm gonna, if you have a question you'd like to ask, and while I'm waiting up, Ruth took her. Okay, so I've got Miriam Zucker's hand is raised, so I'm gonna allow her to talk, and then I'm gonna read a question here while we're waiting for her to come on. Donald says, this is a very powerful for supporting people with developmental disabilities. I'm also interested in your feedback on the use of the new Echo Show 10 in combination with CareHub, which improves field of view during drop-in video chats, and the Amazon Frame glasses, which I hope will integrate some kind of fall detection or automated alert SOS calls in the future. Any thoughts on those? Those are great comments, Donald.
Yes, really, really exciting. I totally agree. I think for a while I was exploring Facebook Portal, if you're familiar, because you could set it up on top of the TV and you could really have a view of the entire home. So I really appreciated that they've done a great job with the camera and the view. So I totally agree. And exactly, that's what I'm hoping for, that these glasses will not just be listening to Alexa or talking to her with your just regular prescription, that there will be more capabilities of connecting CareHub to it, and other devices. And as you can see, obviously they're creating their own sort of line of peripherals, which makes sense. So I'm hoping that this kind of CareHub is the first step to really equipping us with all of this kind of easy tech that we can connect to each other.
Miriam, it looks like your mic is open. Did you have a question?
So I see this geared at seniors who are functioning at a particular level. For others, I think we have to think more along the route of cameras in the house. But I think there's a line of distinction there, and I wonder if you can comment on that.
Yes, absolutely. I completely agree. I think, and as I mentioned, it sort of relies on the person knowing about Alexa, interacting with Alexa, initiating that call, that relationship. And I absolutely agree. This is something I've struggled with. Finding technology that meets the person where they're at is really difficult. So it would be, of course, easier if this smart speaker has already been in their home and they're comfortable with it. But yes, the individuals that I've worked with who have severe dementia, this may not be the best tool because they don't really have a lot of interactions with her. And so, yes, I think adding cameras and sensors with CareHub can also be helpful, because you'll have alerts when they open a door or a window, or, turn off or on their stove. And I think in the past, we've talked about sensors on, sort of refrigerators and, other kind of kitchen appliances, but this just makes it much easier to integrate into a system that you already have.
Yeah,
But
and
yeah,
actually,
I completely agree.
last week, you guys can see the recording, but we featured a company called Stack Care that it has a very affordable sensor system, and I believe you can integrate that with some of the smart home devices. So good question there. Okay, let me get back to these. And Galina, are you okay staying on for a few extra minutes just to let us get through this? And those of you who have a hard stop at 1 Eastern Standard, we record this and we put it on podcast, and I'll send that out later this afternoon or tomorrow. Betty says, can a loved one or caregiver use an app on a mobile device for more than one senior or Amazon device? So could you have, you know, both sets of grandparents that you're monitoring on this?
No, you cannot.
Okay.
You can't. It's only a one-to-one. That's a great question.
No,
And I'm sure there's a reason, I think, for it now, because they probably haven't figured out the logistics in terms of a whole family, let's say monitoring more than one person. And also with the Amazon accounts, each individual has to have their own in order to be able to view their history. So yes, it's a one-to-one and no more. And like I said, the CareHub is a good first step, because when I was doing research with Voice years ago, 6 years ago, I had informed consent by my participants to look at their history. And the only way that I could do it is to travel to their home, get on their phone and record their interactions. So I always wish for a way to sort of be able to share Alexa history, and now they've done it. So and honestly, for any peripherals or any tech, if it's not voice enabled, or if it's not, it doesn't have some sort of way to connect to Google Home or Alexa, I mean, they all will be able to. I definitely see that as the future.
Great. Let's see. Karen asks, if we are creating a smart service that helps with a similar one-to-one relationship, and we wanted to add Alexa functionality, what would be the best way to start? Okay.
Yeah, the best way would be to, what other companies are doing or other services, is creating Alexa skills for your particular offering. And I think they've made it so easy to build an Alexa skill. It's really, you could just watch a couple of YouTube videos and really anybody could do it. So outside of, it's kind of like Apple, right? It's hard to get really inside their platform, but you could have sort of these apps or skills that could be your own. They could be proprietary, but incorporating, let's say, your offerings into CareHub is not going to happen.
Now, just out of curiosity, because you're there at University of Maryland with all of these tech students and things of that nature, is there a pipeline through your students? Like if there's somebody in our audience that's sort of like, boy, it'd be nice to have a specific skill, could they reach out to you and maybe connect with a student that could help them?
Oh, absolutely. We have students who are building mobile apps with Swift, who are building skills on these voice devices, and absolutely, they always are looking for internships. So I'd love to connect you. Yeah.
Okay, great. Let's see. Karen Brown, I know you touched on this briefly, but just we'll reiterate it. She says, what are some of the major concerns are there about sharing privacy, potential hacking via Wi-Fi, etc.? Your thoughts on that?
Sure. Like I said, I think I'm on the spectrum where I am more paranoid, on the paranoid side, in terms of my cameras being hacked. And unless you sort of have deep knowledge of how to set up encryption and set up a server that really can't be touched, you have to essentially live with the idea that something could happen. So absolutely, it's that trade-off of some flexibility in your home and convenience versus a hacker, wanting to unlock your home, or spy on the camera in your basement, or open your garage door if it's a smart garage door. However, these companies that are producing the peripherals are pretty good at security. So I wouldn't really be that alarmed about a stranger being able to open up your garage door. But yes, it's kind of like where your comfort level is.
Yeah, no, and the good thing is that we've got cameras now. So when the person does open your garage door, we can see who they are. So Let's see. Okay. Oh, this is a funny one. Somebody said, dating myself now, but I feel we're in a safe space. Does anyone remember the clapper to turn lights on and off? Clap your hands, turn it off. It's marketed right around the same time as the Chia Pet. But that was high tech back then. And I'm sure there's some people that still have the clapper.
Yes, this is 100% smart lights are the newer version of the clapper. And it was useful back then and it's very useful now. I totally agree.
Cindy Love says, back to the extreme basics. My mother loves the video chat with me through Echo Show. However, she fiddles with it incessantly, plugging and unplugging, hitting buttons at random, not understanding what it says. Any food for thought on that? Oh, let's see. Not understanding if I say push the left button, where can I find out how others are dealing with locking down a cord or labeling buttons? Others must be dealing with the same challenge. My mother is in a memory care facility with no help from the staff. It could be life-changing, but nearly impossible to implement. And any words of wisdom where Cindy might go to learn about solutions for her mom?
Yeah, what I have found, and honestly, for other questions as well, is Facebook groups. It's been so powerful to connect to other people who are dealing with the exact same thing. So if you're not a user of Facebook, honestly, you can just create a bogus account just for the sake of groups. You don't need to have any friends or open it up to anybody. But the interactions have been so powerful. And really, that's a lot of where I get ideas about things is sort of this works, this doesn't, and kind of Googling on Facebook, Alexa experiences or kind of specific keywords and seeing what people are saying. So for me, in terms of social media, that is the best place to get information, is to learn from others.
Maybe check Reddit. I found a lot of threads on Reddit that are very specific to something. Maybe how to use Alexa with my memory impaired parent, and you may have something that pops up. That is one of the beautiful things about technology, is most of us in the audience are old enough to remember when we had to wait for the library to open to go look up things in an encyclopedia, and now we can do it within 5 minutes. Okay, gonna get through these questions here. This is Vincent has just a basic question. Do you think that Amazon CareHub will allow seniors to stay in their homes longer?
Oh, great question. Oh, that's a difficult one. I want to say yes. If once again, if I think that relationship, that two-way relationship is really open, and you're not like me and my mom where I'm trying to get access to her Alexa and she doesn't really want it. I think if the person is open to it and just kind of understands that it's not, we're not spying on you, we're just getting just general alerts, 100%, I think this is the first step to, yes, making our homes smarter and more interactive and being able to kind of navigate the space easier. So I'm hoping that the answer is yes.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the smart appliances and peripherals that, what I've seen with a lot of our readers is a tech savvy son-in-law will set things up so that, he can help mom remotely with various devices in the home. It's sort of like, oh, mom, here, I'm going to turn on the lights for you, or what have you, So let's see. Sid Blair says, I'm constantly following smart tech and it seems to have plateaued with smart speakers. What do you see as the next advancement?
That's a great point. There's only so like the screen can only be so big or the audio can only be so good. So I completely agree. I think now it will be, the focus will be on customization. So for, I think the CareHub is one part of that, but really making it fit your needs. And once again, these kind of, what can you tie it to? Because absolutely, there's only so far that you can go with the voice and AI and machine learning. I think the future is learning who's speaking to this this device, being able to discern exactly which individual is interacting with Alexa, and having better feedback, and just giving you smarter data, giving you back smarter information than just here's a song that was played at 2 p.m. So I think just the device is learning more from us, and establishing those better relationships is the future. You're totally right. How much bigger can the screen be?
Great. And then a couple of questions and comments on sensors. First is David from Personal Living Alert, and he says we have sensors that can detect falls and additional information without being intrusive, no cameras, unwanted drop-ins. So David, what I would say is make sure that you email me, and then we can feature you on one of our discussions, because I want to learn about your sensor product. Like I said, we had Stat Care last week. And then Cheryl Walsh asks, tell me about sensors on drawers and medicine cabinets. Do you, Galina, have you seen any sensor products that have impressed you, or that you're that you'd like to share?
Sure. Actually, much like the smart bulbs and lights, they're relatively inexpensive and really easy to install. Well, easy to install once you start adding more of them. I think the first one is probably a bit of a learning curve, but once you add it to, whether it's your Google Home or your Amazon Alexa app, adding more peripherals just becomes easier and kind of auto-detected. I love the drawers, because for, back in the day, if for myself with a toddler, I would have the manual kind of drawer locks, and you would have to open it. And, yes, that's, of course, childproofing is okay, but now it's kind of like, it's nice to keep things open and just know when somebody is pulling a drawer open and I'm upstairs and this is happening. And of course I have my watch all the time, so I am constantly getting notification of things happening, which is maybe a good thing or a bad thing. But yeah, I love the idea that these sensors are becoming so inexpensive and really easy to use.
Okay. And then Paul Nasto, who runs a home care agency, says, can CareHub be set up for multiple providers and receivers, such as multiple family members can monitor a parent, or a couple could monitor both of the couple's parents? And I think you had said before, unfortunately, CareHub is one-on-one.
It's one-on-one. However, there's loopholes. I think we all use our friends' Netflix accounts. And so if you're comfortable sharing, let's say, your password and information, login information with your partner or your child or whoever wants to sort of drop in, you can do that, but technically it's just a one-on-one relationship.
Great. And then Alondro has a good question, because I wasn't even aware of this. It says, is there a connection between CareHub and Amazon's pill pack?
Oh, that's a good question. I would imagine yes.
Now,
well,
have you looked at, I'm curious about the pill pack.
Yeah.
Have you looked at this product?
Well, it's essentially a delivery service, and everything is sort of pre-measured, and kind of, if you've seen like the customizable vitamins, you get them at your door and they're specifically for you. I'm trying to think how you could really connect it to CareHub other than like notifications that the package has been received, because there's nothing smart about these packs. They're just plastic.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't know if it was like a dispenser product, but it's just a delivery system. Yeah. So from that perspective, I mean, one of the beautiful things about Amazon is things like grocery delivery and what have you, so that, like, I've talked to a lot of families who, mom has her grocery list and she can now just add things to the grocery list. And then at the end of the week, she can say, order my groceries, Alexa. And a couple of days later, it shows up at her front doorstep. So I think that's probably the best way to use it with the pill pack model. And then let's finish on this question here that says, since Alexa is always listening, is Amazon going to use this information to sell advertising or to sell products. Any thoughts on that?
The cynic in me will say that they already are selling our information to third parties, and you're sort of inadvertently getting sold product without Amazon really kind of telling you that they have your interactions. I think we can find comfort in the fact that this data is aggregated. So they don't care so much about what Galina's ordering. They care about what all of the Galinas who order the same thing are doing and sort of their their interactions. But yes, right now they're not charging you for the care hubs or, the skills, but you 100% are working for Amazon, just like I am and everybody else. We are working for these companies because we're sharing our data.
Yeah, and I mean, it is a balance, but one of the things that for those of us who have been using tech and been online since 1995, the difference now, the experience in terms of the way we're served up marketing is so much more customized to our needs than before, where it's just you'd be getting nailed by these irrelevant marketing messages that have nothing to do with what you are interested in. Now it is a little bit scary in that, it's like, wow, it's like they know what I want and what I'm purchasing, which is not necessarily a bad thing, so it's just getting comfortable with that. Well, Galina, thank you for staying over, and I thank our audience for such engaging questions. Send me your PowerPoint and I will follow up with everybody on the recording, contact info, and feel free to reach out and we'll have you back on again if any new tech comes. I think, when are those glasses going to be launching?
Oh, I didn't see a date. I think they said production is coming up. So I'll keep you posted. Okay. I will definitely be testing them out. Yeah.
I'd love to hear your reaction to that. Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much. Thanks, everyone.
You bet.